You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Ethan Hristodoulou.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Hristodoulou, and today, my USFL fans, we got some big news to dive into as the Gamblers have made a big coaching change. Sumlin going to be moving on to the college ranks and leaving an opening for the Gamblers to fill, and they got their guy this morning. So make sure you comment down below whether you're a Houston Gamblers fan, somebody in their division, or you just love the USFL and you're ready for some spring football. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this move. Let me know what you think about all the coaching changes we've seen this offseason as well. This is the fourth one now that we're talking about, so a lot to get into, a lot to discuss, and I want to hear from you all now. Like I mentioned, Kevin Sumlin, it was announced yesterday, he's going to be taking a job with Maryland, so he's gone, leaves a vacancy for the Houston Gamblers to fill, and this is now the fourth head coaching change we have seen this year. We've seen three teams just outright change their coaches, and then obviously with the Tampa Bay Bandits kind of going on their hiatus, or whatever you want to call it, they moved on. And then from there, the Showboats got themselves a new head coach. They're in a new location now as they kind of basically took over the place of the Tampa Bay Bandits. So we've seen four changes at the head coaching position. This is an awful lot of turnover, and I'm kind of torn on how I feel about it, but there is a positive look on it despite all of the turnover. Again, you don't want to see this kind of turnover, especially for a newer league. You would love to see a little more consistency. I would love to see more teams, especially going out of season 2 and into like seasons 3 and 4 as things move on for the USFL, that we see a little bit more consistency with the coaching staff. But at the end of the day, the USFL is kind of a land of opportunity for not just the players involved, but for the coaching staffs as well. From offensive assistants to defensive assistants, all the way up to the head, the guys heading the helm at the head coaching spot as well. It's not just about the players getting a shot at the NFL because of what they're putting on tape in this league. These coaches are trying to prove themselves. And clearly, with some of the coaches that are moving on and taking positions here and there, other places have taken notice, whether it's the college ranks or the NFL. Clearly, people are seeing what's going on here or what did go on last season, and some people have gotten some jobs. And you know what? Great for them. You can't really be mad about it. So it does kind of suck to see this kind of movement going on. However, I will say it does add a little bit of intrigue. Essentially, at this point, we've seen the bottom four of the USFL go through some sort of change here in the coaching staff. And while, again, you do want to see that consistency because it's going to help teams grow more effectively, it does add a little bit of intrigue. Again, we're talking the bottom four teams of the league here, while the top four teams have stayed relatively together in terms of the coaching and a lot of key players coming back. So it does add that intriguing element where those bottom four teams are not necessarily going to be those same bottom four going into season 2. The Gamblers now bringing in a new head coach could maybe find the offensive consistency they didn't have last year now with this new head coaching hire that we'll talk about in a second. And, maybe run the table. Who knows? A team like the Showboats, an entire new team in a whole new location, new coaching staff, a lot of new players. Things could change for them drastically as kind of the replacement for the Bandits. Maybe they're, a little more effective on offense. They're not gassing out as much as it seemed that the Tampa Bay Bandits were at certain points of the season last year. It does add some intrigue. So while I am disappointed of all the turnover, I am kind of a little bit more excited than I maybe would have been if we were seeing the same 6 teams on paper in terms of coaching and a lot of players, and now we're getting entire new systems, entire new perspectives. It does add that intrigue, so I'm kind of okay with it. Again, not necessarily thrilled, but I am intrigued to see how it changes the landscape of the league going into season number 2. Now, this morning, the Gamblers filling their head coaching vacancy around 8 a.m. It was announced that they're going to be hiring Curtis Johnson as their new head coach, a very offensive-minded head coach with 35 years of experience going from the high school to college ranks to the NFL, back to college, and then back to the NFL again before finding himself in the USFL now as the head coach of the Gamblers. I think that this is going to be a huge hire for a team that found a lot of success defensively last year, but just could not get the consistency that they needed to help back up that defense, especially in the back half of the year when teams on offense were really starting to flourish and get things together, because I feel like defenses were a little bit more ahead of the offenses in the early portion of the season last year. The Gamblers just never quite caught that consistency, And that's what really held them back, because they were a vicious team when it came to turnovers and bringing down the quarterback, defending the run. They were holding teams to really low scores. Hell, they handed the Stallions their only loss of the season. This was a team that really needed some help on offense, and you're bringing in a guy like Johnson, who has been wide receivers coach for a bulk of his coaching career in a litany of places. He was the wide receivers coach for the Saints from 2006 to 2011. That's during the span when they won that Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl 44. Then he was a head coach in Tulane for a few years from 2012 to 2015, came back to the NFL, was with the Bears for a quick year before going to the Saints as an offensive assistant from 2017 to 2020. He has a bunch of coaching experience and brings a really good and bright offensive mind. And I mean, you look at the work that he's kind of put out. The Saints have had really good receiving cores, both during the time that he was there the first time, and the Saints offense was really good from that 2017 to 2020 stretch. This is exactly the type of coaching you want to be bringing in to help turn things around on the offensive side of the ball. So I am very excited to see how things change for the Gamblers this year. If you can keep or at least somewhat maintain that defensive success that you had last year, pull it into this season and build off of anything that you somewhat put together last year on offense. This is a threatening team. Again, they're the only team that beat the Stallions last year. If they even just had a lick of consistency on offense, this is a team that could have maybe made the playoffs and made some serious noise. Hell, if they had maybe made the playoffs, could have potentially upset those Stallions during the playoff run through the South. Who knows how things could have changed if they were able to actually do something on offense. So I'm really excited for the Gamblers and the the potential, I guess I should say, of what this offense could look like in year number 2. Hello, buddy. But as far as how things kind of change now, this does add some big intrigue into week number 1. I want to mention this because I saw USFL Comms on Twitter post about this, and I think it is worth mentioning because, again, it does add a lot of intrigue for the season. Recently hired head coach of the Michigan Panthers, Mike Sumlin, and Curtis Johnson, now head coach of the Gamblers, actually worked together from 2017 to 2019 on the New Orleans Saints. You have two guys that are getting head coaching opportunities in this spring league here where they're going to go head to head now. They're going to know each other. They're going to know what they were thinking. They obviously communicated as far as what they were doing and game planning and, drawing up on offense. This is going to be an interesting matchup to watch. It just adds even more to what's already building up to be a very intriguing and exciting season number 2 for the USFL. So they meet in week number 1. We're going to get that matchup right off the bat. You have a new head coach over there for Michigan, new head coach for the Gamblers. Both teams looking to make a statement and show everybody we are not the same team we were last year. Someone's going to have to take a loss, so I'm really excited to see how that game plays out as well. Anything that adds intrigue and a little more of spice and sauce to the USFL, I'm here for. The bottom half of the league has been completely revamped at this point and changed around. I think it's going to effectively rewrite the landscape of the USFL at this point. Who knows what season 2 brings for us, but I'm excited. We've got less than 60 days until we are there. I hope you are as excited as I am. And again, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this coaching change, maybe the other 3 coaching changes that we've seen throughout the USFL. How do you think the USFL looks now going into year number 2? How does this affect the Gamblers and the rest of the South Division? All of that. I want to hear your all's thoughts on this, but that's it for me. I appreciate you for watching. If you stuck around all the way to the end of the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, but I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you all again for watching. Have a good one.